Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas and welcome back to another PSGL F1 League Racing video here on the channel. And today we have, I guess round 13, as you can see on your screen, around Mexico. Brendan, I always forget what round it actually is. And we are getting ready for the beginning of Q1. And you can hear me in the background talking from when we're in the warm-up lap. That's because we were stuck behind Brendan, who loves to play a bit of a game from time to time, you know, all good memes. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the first run of Q1. Now, Mexico is quite a short track, one of the shortest lap times on the calendar, but it is also very, very technical. It's also got a lot of slow speed corners, a lot of traction zones, and generally speaking, it's quite hard to get, you know, everything right around. So yeah, heading through the first sector now, consisting of those sort of 3 right angle corners, if you like. And yeah, it wasn't the best of runs through there whatsoever. It's only a mid-5 sector, so not the best sector 1, but heading through sector 2 now, getting decent traction pick up there. Bit wide through the double apex right-hander, so not 100% optimal through there. Then coming into this high-speed sweeping left-hander. Now that was a bit too wide through there. You do not want to run out too wide through that middle section, as the curb will sort of rebound you out the wrong way. So it's been a little bit of a sort of a meh first run, for lack of better description, as we head into sector 3 now, where we don't quite make that apex, which is going to cost us a little bit of time. One more corner to go before we finish our first run, or banker run here in Q1. It hasn't been anything special, and it is a 173. That puts us P5 for the moment, but that will not stand for very long. As you can see, it put us down to P10. So yeah, not a very good lap. It was very, very close between everybody, but we knew we had, you know, quite a chunk of time left in there to extract. So yeah, didn't need to over push, we just needed to drive a nice and clean run. So heading into turn 1, this time getting a nice clean smooth run through these corners, and as you can see already, 700s up as we head towards now sector 2. We have a 4-5 split, so it was actually more than 700s up, because the Delta sometimes just doesn't have a clue what it's doing. Sometimes coming into this double apex right hander a bit earlier to the apex this time, but we still managed to get a better exit, and we know we've got a bit of time through this left hander. We do not run wide this time, and as you can see, the Delta immediately flies up because of it, just due to having, you know, so much better momentum. Not needing to over risk the cut on that left hander, and we're already 2 tenths up. So coming into this last sector, we already know we do not need to over push. A pretty terrible right hander there. We scrubbed quite a lot of speed out of it. We do make the apex this time through there, going through this right hander now. How's the last corner going to be? Again, maybe not the best entry through there, a bit of a poor exit as well, so plenty of time left on the table actually through the final sector, but this is going to be more than enough to get us through. And yeah, safely into Q2. However, we are aware that there's going to be some weather. Yeah,
it's changed to overcast.
It says it's raining right now.
Yeah, go on softs now. Go on softs now.
On the tires, leaving now.
Like raining again, rain 19%. Yeah, go.
That'll be a one-shot quali, baby.
Yeah, just make sure you have tempos.
The engineer just says dries look like the fastest tire for the moment.
Yeah, delta to the 4.2 is still the same compared to dries.
So, as you can see, it's a bit of a mad rush at the moment, because the rain is on its way. It is still currently, as we speak, dry, but the rain is at any moment going to start falling, and we're going to have one shot to get through this qualifying session. But if you look at your screen closely right now, the rain has quite literally just begun to start falling as we begin our lap. Now, the good news for us is that we still have quite a few cars behind us. The bad news for us is we probably have more cars ahead of us. So we need to do, a nice clean lap here, and not be afraid to send it. The rain has only just begun, so you know, you have to make sure you attack it still almost as if it's fully dry. You've just got to feel the conditions, feel it through, you know, the force feedback, try and understand what grip you have and how quickly the conditions are changing. But at the end of the day, there's always just the element of having to send it a little bit. As you can see already, the car not quite biting on the front axle going through, you know, the slow speed right-handers here in sector 2. And it was starting to get more and more slippy. It wasn't just like it was slowly starting to spit. The conditions were worsening quite quickly throughout this lap. So we knew that we had to just make sure we were going to have, yeah, a clean run, because there's going to be multiple cars behind us who are going to have worse conditions than us. So we just need to be nice and smooth, not do anything over the top. The last sector has been pretty safe so far. Not amazing through those, you know, final sequences of corners. We take a nice tight line out the exit just to try and get the traction down, and yeah, we cross the line. It is provisionally P6, half a second slower than the first car that finished the lap, Danny Beresny, to show how quickly the conditions were changing. We dropped to P7 in the end, but it's going to be more than good enough to get us through into Q3 on the one run, which is, yeah, thankfully all good. And we actually went out towards the end of this session as well to get a feel for the intermediate conditions, as Q3, according to our forecast, was going to be fully intermediate conditions. So yeah, I was making sure that I had a feel for the conditions. I knew what I wanted to try and change or tweak on the car, and here we are for the first run of Q3 now, and we had 2 sets of fresh intermediates to play with coming into this Q3 session. So yeah, we're going to be getting our first run now. We're actually fueled for more than one lap, so we're going to be doing a push, cool, push, then box, and then 1 lap at the end. That was sort of the run plan I had, sort of provisionally in my head, but it was always, you know, able to be changed. So nice and relatively clean through the opening sector of this lap. Heading into sector 2 now, you've got to just, yeah, try not over push it, but as you can see, that's how easy it is to oversend it. You know, the biggest thing you can do in the wet to lose a lot of time very, very quickly is to break traction and then start that sort of slide. So it is like a big balance of, you know, risk versus reward. What do you want to do? Do you want to, you know, push into the corner and, you know, be a bit more aggressive on the brake, but also risk, you know, locking the rears and then losing the car? Or do you want to, you know, play it safe, you know, measure your risk and see if you can get a lap on the board? Pretty safe through there actually on that entry, just trying to sort of get a feel for the conditions, as the conditions were actually different from Q3 to Q2. I think it was a little bit faster in Q2 than it was at this point, and you can see missing that final apex. Still quite a lot of time on the table, but this is, you know, everyone's first sort of feeling of what's going on in these conditions, sort of at all, I guess. And as you can see, we were only marginally off the fastest lap set at the time, with still plenty to find. So here we are now, starting our second run, still on the same set of tyres, but now obviously on less fuel. Unfortunately, due to I didn't quite know if I had enough fuel to just continuously burn, you know, and keep the tyres up to speed, up to temp, you know, on that outlap. So I didn't start the lap with as much ERS as I wanted either, as I was quite tight on fuel to get back to the pit. So this lap was going to be a little bit compromised as we got to the end of it, but no matter, we're giving it a crack anyway. And yeah, we are up as we head into sector 2, this time not having that slide into turn 4, and now heading into this double apex right hander, opting to hold 4th gear just to try and dull that, you know, initial wheel spin, but ultimately maybe less optimal than going for 3rd gear. Quite slow through this sort of middle section, but naturally, you know, the time, sorry, it's just continuously coming up and up and up. But we did lose a little bit towards the end of that middle sector. We've got the final sector now where we know we've got quite a bit of time, but we've actually ran out of ERS. If you actually look at the ERS right there, and we actually slide again, so loads of time on the table in this final section of the lap. Again, not quite making the final corner, but we're still up on the delta through that last sector somehow, and we set the fastest lap of the session. So now here we are, getting ready for the last run, and as you can see, I am, you know, not wasting time. I'm actually overtaking cars on this this outlap, because ultimately, if you look at the time remaining, there is not a lot, and I knew this very early in my lap. I knew that we were not going to have a lot of time, and I did not want to be near the back of the train. We have 13 seconds remaining, and ultimately I went, you know, wanted just to make sure I had enough time. I'll basically whoever sets the fastest lap in this one run will be on pole position. You know, the track's at its best, we're all on new tyres, we're all on low fuel, and yeah, starting off the lap though, we actually didn't have we were literally under temperature on our front tyres, just by like a degree or so. We didn't have enough temperature in them, and we actually didn't get a good run out the last corner, so yeah, losing a little bit of time to begin with, but thankfully we managed to still gain a bit of time back through that first sector, and everything will start to come to us more as we go through the laps. So heading into sector 2 now for the final time in qualifying, getting to the apex nicely. How do we get the front to bite? Yes, we do. Getting the car to rotate a little bit squiggly on traction, but this time opting for third gear, going for a much wider line and focusing on that exit, getting the power down, and the delta flies up now as we head towards the middle sector S's. And yeah, very, very smooth through there, using fifth gear, short shifting to sixth a little bit, really opening up these corners actually. And then coming out of this corner here, you can just see the delta flying up. We're now 2.5 tenths up as we head through the middle sector, and now we've just got the final sector to go, which we know we have a lot of time, and really pushing the traction on the exit nice and clean through this left-hander, not oversending it like we did on the lap before. We are now 4.5 tenths up as we have one more corner to negotiate. We have, you know, considerably nailed it better than the last time on the previous run, and we're going to come to the line half a second up. It is provisional pole position, but have we done enough? Yeah! Let's go!
I think we are.
Good job, mate.
Yes! Cooking. Oh my god, what a lap.
Let me go! Come on.
What a lap.
Yeah, boy.
Good job, Lucas.
Oh.
How is it so quick? Honestly.
Your middle is unreal.
Middle, yeah.
You're in the last.
So there we have it. We've managed to put it on P1, but yeah, now we've got a race ahead of us, and we are going, yeah, considerably different on strategy to, yeah, basically all the cars around us, but also to what we usually do in the first place. Now, we get a miserable start because for some reason, when you restart the game and stuff like that, or when you start a new race, like the force feedback doesn't even work, or your steering doesn't even work. So yeah, coming under attack now as we head into turn 1. We dive in nice and deep to defend that line going into turn 2, sorry, and we successfully defend, thankfully, on Yarno, on those hards. But now we need to get a move on, because ultimately we know that coming towards the end of this stint we're going to get caught back up. But ultimately, yeah, it's always good to try and break away a little bit if you can. So here we are now on lap 1, and yeah, we just want to try and pull away a little bit. We don't want to tow anyone along for laps that we don't need to. So yeah, we're just going to get on with it, pull that DRS gap, and just drive the opening stint of this race, and sort of see how the race setup is, how the car is, how everything's feeling, how the tyres are managing. Just getting the rhythm like we always do, using a bit more energy than we normally would, but we also know that, you know, we should get that back, you know, later in the race when, you know, we go back into the DRS train. So yeah, end of lap 1 now. We have a 1.5 second lead to Yarno on the hards, and yeah, we're just gonna, you know, get cracking with it, get on with it, and settle into a rhythm in this race. On to lap 3 now. The gap is now 2.3 seconds, and we see now Thomas Rana on the medium tyre, which will soon actually be better than our tyres as our softs go through, you know, sort of a big hit in performance.
40,
sort of around now actually, 40. I think, on screen. So yeah, the gap is 2.7 seconds, but that will be quite quickly disappearing as we sort of scuttle through the laps now. Here. Now on lap 8, and as you can see, Brendan Lee, who was working with Thomas, well, not working with him, but naturally just, you know, DRS, overtaking, blah blah blah, is now within our DRS. And if you can see here, our car is, yeah, I've definitely had more rear grip, to put it lightly, and we were only on lap 8, and already we were, yeah, we didn't really have a lot of rear end, so yeah, the car was not feeling very good, and I still had a long way to go on this set of tyres to make it to, we wanted to go in the mediums. So yeah, we still had quite a few laps to run as Brendan Lee now takes the lead of the race on the medium tyre, and we're just going to slot in behind him. And yeah, we were going to try as well not to lose a position here to Thomas behind us naturally, as if you get DRS on the first straight, you also get it on the second straight. So ultimately, I didn't want to lose the position to both of the cars. If I was able to, I would have liked to have sat P2, but ultimately I don't think we had the facilities for that, because yeah, our grip was less than ideal, and as you can see, coming out the last corner, we just get left for dead. 9/10 to Brendan now on the mediums. Our tyres were far from ideal, but it wasn't. I wouldn't even say it was mainly the tyre. I mean, the tyres were obviously gone, but our car was not dealing with it very well at all. As I tried to defend a little bit from Thomas, but ultimately I give up. Yeah, I give up going through turn 1, as it became not worth it to fight. I tried to pinch Thomas tight a bit, but ultimately it just wasn't worth it. He was going to get the position anyway. And yeah, now we are P3 with Alfie Butcher behind us on the same strategy as us, and now we're just going to, you know, try and make it to our pit stop lap here on lap 15. And yeah, our tyres were finished. And when I say finished, like, imagine driving, you know, with no rear end. It's like, I can't really describe it another way. It was an incredibly tricky first stint, especially towards the end. But we're going to go into the medium tyres now, and yeah, try and hope for the best in the second stint. The only downside to our strategy, as much as we're going to get track position, is that at Mexico it's relatively easy to overtake, but also we're going to have worse tyres than basically anybody for the remainder of the entire race. Which is really, really bad, especially given that we seemed to struggle massively when the tyres went off, as our race car, our race setup was not feeling good whatsoever. As Alfie Butcher now takes the theoretical lead from us, and we were actually going to work together just as a mutual benefit. You know, we're going to, you know, DRS past each other. But just to sort of exemplify, or give an example of what it's like for us, you know, going through this middle sector, Alfie is just quite frankly destroying us. He's 6/10 up the road. We were much quicker than him on the straights, but ultimately I was so far back by the time we got to the straight that it was just too much. So yeah, ultimately, you know, the decisions we made for the race with, you know, the car was definitely not the right one, especially for this strategy, as we really needed to hang on to the car when the tyres went off. But for us, it just became increasingly harder and harder, and the reality sort of set in that, as you can see now, all the cars behind closing in, we're going to have to defend as hard as we can to try and hope that we have enough pace to hang on. And you know, maybe the best thing to do is not to fight, but ultimately I've done that in the past and it's sometimes not worked out. It's a flip of a coin, and here we are now. Brendan Lee has caught up to the back of us, but he actually dives up the inside. We get, I mean, yeah, shown the door, and yeah, I try and yield the position now, but unfortunately for us, we have Jake Benham on the outside. He has like 4 lap, I think maybe 4 lap pressure mediums. He goes a little bit wide through here. We're going side by side, just a little bit of wheel bang and nothing too extreme through there. It was all, you know, I would say fairly all fair, all good through there. I don't even mean to rhyme saying that, sorry, that was horrible. But yeah. Anyway, heading on down to lap 27, we try and defend. We're going to try our very, very best to defend as much as we can, but also as fairly as we can. As we go into this middle sector, we leave this middle sector, the second corner, sorry, as we go side by side with Jake through there, as the cars sort of rubber band next to each other. We now have Jarno getting on the mix, who has, I think, also really fresh medium tyres. We break really, really late trying to defend, but we give Jarno the room, as is fair, and he gets the move done. So, in all credit, that's fair enough to Jarno. We defended, you know, really, really hard, but we gave the space, and yeah, I think that's all good. So yeah, our goal was just to try and hang on and try and, you know, hold the position if we could. And you can see here, just defending the inside, diving super late on the brakes, and yeah, defending quite well from Jake, I think, at this point, because ultimately my goal was just to try and hang on, because sometimes if you fight long enough, things can actually go in your favour. The only thing that really wasn't in my favour was the ERS as well, and the fact that everyone around me just had so much better tyres, and coupling that with the fact that we were really struggling with, you know, oversteer and traction with the sort of direction we took for the car in the race. Yeah, it was not ideal, but I was trying my very, very best. We have Thomas now just flying past us. We cannot defend from him. Jake now going for the outside line. He gets ahead. We dive in late on the brakes. He goes a bit too deep though, so we're going to try and go back around the outside now. Now we're on the apex. Jake goes a little bit wide through there, a little bit of wheel banging, but that's all good because he was going wide anyway. And yeah, trying to outdrag him. He swipes across us a little bit, but that's alright, nothing that bad came of it. We try our best to go up the inside. Jake leaves enough room, that's all good. A little bit of a nudge, but that's all, you know, to many degrees Robin is racing, you know, you can't always, you know, have everything absolutely, you know, picture perfect, if that makes sense. None of that is anything bad in my mind whatsoever. I think that was, you know, hard on the limit defending and good, you know, good racing at the end of the day. Put it this way, I've seen a lot worse. But yeah, as you can see now, literally cannot defend from it. We have to give up the chase now with Jake and Barry. Well, with Jake, because Jake just flew past us and Barry also flying past us. And yeah, you can see now Danny Berezny choosing the outside line, so it gives us a little bit of an opportunity. There was a little bit of rubbing in the straight, but that's alright. Nothing bad from it. Yeah, again, trying the same thing that we did with Jake, trying to hang on round the outside. We leave enough room for Danny on the exit, but ultimately we just don't have the ability to get on traction. There's just a lot of, I don't know how there's a lot of banging on this straight here. It was just like, you know, we're all going in a straight line, but yeah, the contact model doesn't exactly help it from times as well. And yeah, we're just trying to pick up the spoils of anyone fighting. We're trying our best to hang in there, you know, defending hard, but also defending fair. You know, I'm not, you know, running people off the road or diving stupidly late on the brakes or without outlet into another car, if that makes sense. I'm trying to be on the limit, but as fair as possible, because, you know, there's many times on this game that I've been, you know, shoved off the track or things like that. But ultimately, I'm just trying to defend, you know, as hard as I can, but, you know, also not be a nuisance, if that makes sense, or do anything that's untoward as we defend round the outside from Nico there. Just trying to hang on for any extra laps you can, trying to break the slipstream as well. As you can see, he just comes back at us, but thankfully we're far enough ahead, so we defend the line going into the braking zone, and yeah, we're going to hang on for another lap. But yeah, ultimately we just didn't have the tyres or the grip and fundamentally to hang on. As yeah, Nico now going up the inside, we try and just pinch him tight, but ultimately he's getting so much overspeed to the point where we are never going to hang on. We try and have a look round the outside, but Nico runs us in deep, hangs it round the outside and gets the move done. So that's fair play to Nico. That was a pretty damn nice move. We gave him a run for his money, but he defended really nicely. We try and have another go. Now, round the outside, this is really as late as I could go. We're on the apex, we're not running anyone wide. Nico goes wide there a little bit, which I was surprised by. I didn't run him off or anything, as you can see. I think he just ran, you know, just tried to run the speed a little bit, but, you know, nothing untoward or nothing negative there. As yeah, we just keep falling down the order as we're getting absolutely mauled up by everybody with, you know, 4, 5, 6, whatever lap tyre advantage as it is now. As we're on the final lap as to what has been a very eventful race, but ultimately, you know, still in many ways quite fun, you know, getting to get your elbows out, defending as hard as you can. John Evans going around the outside now. So yeah, now we're going to see if we can defend a bit, but come on to the straight. What the f guys doing, man? We get tagged from behind. In a straight line. Now, I'm still unsure as to actually what happened there, but ultimately we were driving in a straight line, and yeah, I don't know if I got a tag from behind, and that's really all I know. I haven't actually reviewed the incident much at all. I did hurt my hand in the moment, and I've actually had a lot of messages of people asking me, is my hand okay? Yes, I'm completely fine, don't worry about me. It was just in the moment when the wheel whipped back round, it caught sort of like not my knuckle, but the bottom of my index finger, and it was really, really sore, which tends to be the case when your wheel whips around on you. But yeah, I appreciate everybody who messaged, actually. That was, yeah, quite nice of you all. But I'm alright, don't worry about me. Just direct drives are, yeah, what they are. But yeah, overall, yeah, the strategy didn't work out for us. We definitely had some issues with the car as well, which definitely didn't help us in the race. But end of the day, it is what it is. You can't have it all good. Definitely a good learning experience. And I kind of enjoyed having to defend a bit. It's always good to keep your racecraft up, trying. Also defending on the limit, because it would have been very easy for me to, you know, cause, you know, loads of collisions there and run into people. But I think that, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how we defended. Because I think we were, you know, hard but fair. So yeah, GG to all of those that we fought. I think we had, you know, a lot of good battles, and I hope it was really entertaining for you guys to watch as well. And yeah, all good. But without further ado, I think it's time to wrap up the video. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe, and comment down below, as long as you're not toxic, please. It's all good. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for the support as always. It has been insane. Have a great rest of your day. I hope you're all happy, healthy, all the good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Love yous all. Take care. Ciao.